November 4th at Toyota dealers. See our new Toyotas for '86 and see what you'll save with 8.5 or 8.6% financing.
Get the facts, the who, the when, the where. You get the fun, the best of times, and we will take you there. The one, there's nothing like us. Take a look inside. We're the one and only TV guide. The facts, the fun, the one TV guide. The facts, the fun, the one TV guide.
WSFA Television, Montgomery. From Alabama's News Center, an expanded one-hour edition of the 6 o'clock report.
Good evening, I'm Bob Howell, and this is the expanded edition of the 6 o'clock report tonight so that we may bring you the governor's trip to China from reporter Chris Grimshaw later in this newscast. Well, with just 1 week in office, and already the state's new welfare commissioner is talking about plans to cut several administrative positions immediately under her. Gwendolyn Williams is expected to present a plan to restructure that agency when she goes before her agency's 6-member governing board next Thursday. Williams' plan will reportedly abolish several offices, transfer 4 top administrators, combine various departments, and provide for a new confidential assistant for the department head. Frequent criticism of the department is that it remains top-heavy with administrators and thin at the county level, where the caseloads continue to increase. Meanwhile, some of the county directors of the pensions and security departments met in Montgomery to discuss the evolution of welfare in Alabama during its 50-year existence. Reporter Dean Argo says many of the directors are dissatisfied with the overall condition of the welfare agency and want to see some changes.
Nearly 6,000 men and women once comprised the staff of the Alabama Department of Pensions and Security, but over the last few years, that staff has slowly been cut back to approximately 4,000. County P&S directors say their decreased staff can barely and in some cases no longer cope with providing services to the state's 1 million welfare recipients.
You cannot cut staff and not cut services.
Morgan says the cutbacks have seriously impaired her department's ability to process claims, and she says there doesn't seem to be anywhere to turn for answers.
But I am disappointed in Governor Wallace. He has not backed our department. He has forgotten those old people that he talked about when he was inaugurated.
We're extremely short of staff, equipment. Programs are being cut because of our programs being staff-driven, and with the staff shortages, we're cutting programs.
The 2 county directors say the State Department has lost credibility with Alabama residents, and they're looking to the department's new leadership for help.
We are planning a reorganization of the state office, and in doing that, we hope to reallocate some state staff to the county offices, trying to target those counties that have the greatest need.
Williams says the light on the horizon for now is dim, but with a revamped department and help from legislators, she hopes that light can shine brightly once again. Dean Argo, WSFA TV News.
And about 1,000 of the 6,500 children in Alabama receiving state-paid daycare are being cut from the state's payroll, and Pensions and Security Commissioner Williams says she won't rule out the possibility of even more cuts. Lisa Walsh of our staff reports that members of FOCAL, the Federation of Child Care Centers in Alabama, says those daycare cuts will mean a crushing blow to working mothers.
I'm the nurse. I'm the doctor. I'm the maid. I'm the cook. And I'm the janitor.
Dot Darrington runs this daycare center in a low-income neighborhood of Montgomery. Care for 17 of the 30 children here is paid for by the State Department of Pensions and Security. Darrington says if the state budget is cut, she doesn't know where these children will go during the day.
And you look around in your community, citizens of Alabama, and see if you too have some of these babies who's going to be lost, their lives are going to be lost, because one little one is trying to take care of another little one.
Darrington says of the 17 state-supported children at her center, none have fathers at home, and their mothers are struggling to get by on low-paying jobs. The state pays Darrington $140 a month for each child qualifying for subsidized daycare. Focal members say the governor should call a special legislative session and appropriate money to adequately fund daycare. They say daycare needs to increase from its current $8.6 million annual budget to $15 million. But with the Department of Pensions and Security running $11 million deficit, the outlook for children who receive subsidized daycare is not good.
We hope that by making the cuts at the beginning of the fiscal year rather than at the end, we're able to make the least type of cuts that we have to make. If we waited much longer, we would have overspent a lot more and we would have had to make more severe cuts.
Focal members today delivered 1,000 letters to the state capitol asking that Governor Wallace call on the legislature to appropriate more money for daycare. Focal members say they'll remember in election year '86 who was governor when the cuts were made. Lisa Walsh, WSFA TV News.
State Personnel Board members are urging various departments at state government to take a close look at how they're handing out special sick leave for the 25,000 state employees. This special sick leave replaces the employees' normal annual sick leave. It's designed to pay employees while they recuperate from extended periods of time as the result of job-related injuries. But as Norman Lumpkin reports, the Personnel Board says the number of special sick leave requests is soaring.
The investigation was ordered after special leave requests tripled over the number usually reviewed each month. Several state personnel board members say they are attempting to eliminate any abuse of special leave. State Personnel Director Allison Ballard.
They've drawn no conclusion. They are merely concerned that there are some requests that don't appear to be well documented. For example, there was a request of 12 weeks for heat exhaustion and a request of 12 weeks for low back pain. These may be legitimate requests, but the board just did not have the information to decide whether they were or were not.
It appears with the latest flap over the increase in special leave requests, some supervisors may pay closer attention to documentation of employee injuries and ailments. This is Norman Lumpkin, WSFA TV News reporting.
Authorities have now decided the pilot of a plane that crashed in Marion County yesterday died alone. Extra luggage scattered in the debris of the aircraft had prompted a second search for victims, but now FAA officials believe 49-year-old B.J. Narler was the sole occupant of that airplane. The Pennsylvania neurosurgeon's twin-engine plane was reported missing yesterday. The pilot's body was found after an overnight search by about 400 people near Hamilton. Well, state and local lawmen are out looking for Michael Eugene Carter. He's wanted in connection with the death of his wife, Alice Elizabeth Carter, who'd been reported missing back on September 9th. Police say they located her body last Sunday. Funeral services for Alice Carter are scheduled for Saturday at 2 o'clock in Chambers County.
Up next, Alabama businessmen get an update on the governor's trip to the Orient, and Senator Heflin scores a victory.
So you need the money. So did I. Our life needed a little improvement. It was almost embarrassing. I thought this whole place was coming apart. Then I had a great idea. I need the money.
Try Friedlander.
I called Friedlander. They loan millions every week for lots of good reasons. Why make it hard on yourself? Call Free to Friedlander. Ask about a life improvement loan.
Try Friedlander. Just pick up the phone.
World-class performance for 1986 from Mazda and Jack Ingram. The Mazda 626 GT is world-class. Fuel injection, turbocharged, and major refinements in steering and suspension. And standard Mazda 626s start as low as $86.95 POE. Plus, Jack Ingram has the all-new Mazda RX-7 starting from $11,995. The 86 Mazdas are here now at Jack Ingram Motors. The choice of luxury, the luxury of choice.
Come to where the living's easy. Now, due to special limited pre-construction discounts, you can own a home in the beautiful setting of Oak Hollow Country Club for as little as $687 a month. Our model home is now open for inspection. Oak Hollow is located off the Troy Highway on Trotman Road. The security guard at the entrance will give you directions.
Oak Hollow, where the living's easy. Where the living's easy.
In Montgomery today, experts in the field of international trade explain the do's and don'ts of successful business dealings with overseas customers. And time again, they talked about overcoming a major obstacle in foreign trade, the strong U.S. dollar and stiff competition. Kim Davis tells us more about the conference at Auburn University in Montgomery.
Can America compete overseas? How tough is international competition? And what effect does the $200 billion federal deficit have on foreign trade? Today, business and economic experts answered yes. The United States can compete in the foreign market, although competition is stiff, but trade is sharply hampered by the bulging federal deficit and the strong U.S. dollar overseas.
From the point of view of ourselves as consumers, it means we're going to be able to enjoy relatively cheap imports. But from the point of view as us as producers, it's going to mean increased pressures in international competition.
What we were doing in China was trying to...
Alabama's business community listened to the China trip. Press Secretary Billy Joe Kemp said the trek created goodwill and friendship between the two governments. And because competition is tough, American businesses must get on what Kemp called the visit itinerary.
The first thing we've got to do is promote Alabama being placed on that itinerary by the site selection team.
Kemp said the overseas visit was time and money well spent. He says last year, 8 Japanese companies committed to locate in Alabama, adding to the 100 foreign-owned firms already here. But as the deficit continues to spiral and the dollar gets stronger, Alabama companies are keeping a watchful eye on government spending.
Basic problem that we have is the high dollar overseas. And since we're in a unique market situation that our only 3 major competitors, 2 of the competitors are American companies, the other one being the Soviet Union, so that hasn't affected us as much as the high dollar overseas.
This is the 3rd Business Economics Forum AUM has sponsored. Kim Davis, WSFA TV News.
And speaking of international trade and overseas business, coming up later in this expanded edition of the 6 o'clock report, reporter Chris Grimshaw joins me for an in-depth report on Governor Wallace's recent visit to the Orient on yet another trade mission. That's a special expanded report later in this newscast. Well, to call attention to American textiles, specifically to the need for Americans to buy American, the Crafted with Pride balloon lifted off for a ride over the city of Montgomery this morning. WHHY DJ Larry Stevens went along for the fun, all part of promoting patriotism during Textile Week. This year's theme is Crafted with Pride in the United States.
It's a great part of the economy, and especially in the Southeast, but it's very important to the entire nation. And of course, Textile Week is a program that was created 5-6 years ago just to draw interest to the textile needs in America.
Crafted with Pride is based on evidence that Americans prefer American textile and apparel products and want to support the industry and its workers. Governor Wallace flies to Cortland tomorrow, where he's expected to announce the state's first spin-off industry from the Saturn Corporation auto plant in Tennessee. An aide to the governor confirmed today that Mr. Wallace will appear at the Two Worlds Old World War II base to make a major announcement. And according to one Cortland official, Wallace's announcement should be a big one. One published report says Wallace will announce plans for a German firm to build a plant to manufacture locks for those automobiles. That plant would reportedly employ about 300 people. Well, oystermen along the Gulf Coast of Alabama and Florida have received some help from the federal government. The U.S. Senate today approved a $3 million appropriation to rehabilitate oyster beds that were destroyed in the September months by Hurricane Elena. The measure was co-sponsored by Senator Howell Heflin, who estimates the hurricane destroyed more than $48 million worth of oysters.
What the amendment would do would be to restore it, take the rehabilitation measures in order that those oyster beds and oyster-bearing lands under the water there in Mobile Bay and in other areas on the Gulf Coast, that they will be able to be operate effectively and produce oysters in the future.
Alabama officials say it will take several years, however, to rehabilitate those oyster beds. Well, the race for the governor's office already has candidates lining up months before the elections next summer. And for at least one of those already committed to run, it's for the second time around. We're speaking of George McMillan, who's placing education at the heart of his platform.
George McMillan says we can heal much of what ails Alabama with one solution, improving the quality of public education.
And it's time for excellence in public education, which we propose to begin by the administration of a basic skills test to identify those in public education in this state who lack the basic skills necessary to be effective in the classroom.
The idea of testing teachers may not be too popular with some groups and individuals who may support McMillan. The former lieutenant governor admits that, but believes a better business climate for the state is dependent on better education.
We've got to understand that there's a natural tie between quality in public education and our ability to have quality in economic development.
McMillan and his ideas will no doubt meet opposition in the year ahead, but the Auburn University graduate knows that too. He's been there before. During his 1982 bid for the governor's office, McMillan fell short of winning the Democratic primary, losing to Governor Wallace. But as McMillan runs the race again, he does it this time, hoping a push for quality education will take him to the finish line in victory. Carrie Gordon, WSFA TV News.
Coming up, the St. Louis Cardinals are one win away from a world championship. We'll have that story next in sports. And Alabama State University's head basketball coach is looking for a rebounding season.
Move it! Move it. Move behind the wheel of an 86 Calais for that special feel from Oldsmobile. Hey, we're being chased. Chase is on for the best price from the Southern Olds family. Let's go. Get going with a front-wheel drive performance of Oldsmobile. Cutlass Sierra in great supply and on sale from your local Southern Olds family dealer. Now what? Be one of the first to test drive Oldsmobile for 86. Now at your local Southern Olds family dealer.
She started going with a different crowd. Her grades dropped. She was out at odd hours. We finally realized Karen had a problem with alcohol and drugs. We didn't want anybody to know, but she got worse. We needed help.
Charter Woods Hospital is a leader in returning young people to full productive lives. Call today, 793-6660. Alcoholism and drug addiction, diseases you can't live with.
First Alabama Bank announces the $100,000 Right Card Sweepstakes. All you need to win is this card. It's free with any First Alabama personal checking account. With the Right Card, at any right place, you can get cash, make a deposit, or check your balance. And every day you use it, you could be an instant winner of up to $500. And you could win the grand prize trip for 2 to Paris. The more you use your card, the more you can win. Get your Right Card today, only at First Alabama Bank.
Great taste of TCBY, the country's best yogurt. A thin, crispy waffle rolled into a big, tasty cone and filled with our famous 96% fat-free, low-cholesterol frozen yogurt. It's the waffle cone. And when you add your favorite topping, covered with whipped topping and a touch of goodness, it's a waffle cone sundae. It all adds up to delicious, low calories. All of the pleasure and none of the guilt. You'll say, this is the country's best yogurt. And it is.
Well, Mark Thornhill in tonight for Phil Snow, and you know, I had no idea that St. Louis had been the World Series winner as many times as they have.
They have been around a while, and they have been successful for quite a while. St. Louis Cardinals, in fact, have won a World Series championship 9 times before. At the moment, the Redbirds are only about 9 successful innings away from running that total to 10. Last night, the Cardinals used the long ball to defeat Kansas City 3-0 in Game 4 of the '85 World Series. Tito Landrum with his solo blast in the 2nd inning. Willie McGee added a solo home run to left in the 3rd inning. And really, that was more than enough offensive output for starting pitcher John Tudor. Tudor was absolutely brilliant last night, hurling a 5-hit shutout as the Cardinals took a 3-1 lead in that best-of-7 World Series.
I felt good all night long. I felt in a little trouble when McRae came up with the bases loaded, but luckily I got out of that. He swung at a bad ball, and I got him out probably for the first time in my career. I had good stuff tonight, Jay. I threw the ball well, and we made some great plays. CC made a great play in right center, and Tito and Willie hit some big flies for us, and we won the ball game.
This certainly doesn't
win anything for us as far as the championship itself, but it gives us the opportunity to do just that, so I feel good about it.
But we were in this predicament a week and a half ago, or a week ago, and ended up beating the odds. We were 7.5 games back, or 8 games behind the California Angels, and had a big series against them early, or late in the season. Beat them 3 out of 4. This is a completely new ball game, and just hopefully we'll be able to respond.
Okay, they'll have that chance to respond tonight. Game 5 there in St. Louis. The Royals down 3-1 with their backs to the wall. Danny Jackson will be on the hill for Kansas City tonight. Bob Forsch will start for St. Louis. Game time 7:25 tonight. With a win, the Royals can take that series back to Kansas City. With a St. Louis win, it's all over. Well, if you're an Alabama Crimson Tide football fan, you've got to be thinking that the Tide will snap its present 2-game losing streak this weekend in Memphis. After all, the Tide is definitely favored to beat Memphis State Saturday afternoon, but Bama fans will remember the last meeting between these two teams back in October of '83. Memphis State was shocking the Tide 10-3 at the half. But Bama awoke and rallied the second half for a 44-13 win. Memphis State quarterback Danny Sparkman was there, and he remembers.
We went down there 2 years ago and had them 10-3 at halftime, and we were playing really good football. And then we made a lot of mistakes, and which you can't make against a team like Alabama because they'll capitalize on them real quick, which they did, and they ended up beating us 44-13. So I'm sure they're going to look at the film and show their players how tough that we did play against them, and they'll come in here ready to play. But I guarantee you we're going to be ready to play after losing last week against Mississippi Southern.
Oddly enough, the Auburn Tigers find themselves in a similar situation. Pat Dye's squad is, of course, the decided favorite this weekend when they entertain Mississippi State. But the Tigers know better than to get overconfident, especially where the Mississippi State Bulldogs are involved. The Dogs always seem to play Auburn tough. Last year, State had a 21-7 lead over Auburn at the half, but the Tigers mounted a second-half comeback. Robert McGinney's last-second field goal lifting the Tigers to a narrow 24-21 win.
Jeff, why is Mississippi State so difficult for Auburn?
Well, I would say they're probably difficult for the same reason that a lot of other SEC teams are difficult, because the SEC is a very physical conference, and I think Mississippi State is probably one of the most physical teams we play. And they're always emotionally up for us, and ever since I've been here, we've had some great games with them, and this Saturday should be no exception.
After 11 years in San Antonio, the Iceman leaveth. Today, just one day before the start of the NBA basketball season, the San Antonio Spurs traded George Iceman Gervin to the Chicago Bulls for forward David Greenwood. Gervin led the Spurs in scoring for 11 straight seasons. 6'7" guard has also been an All-Star 9 times. Gervin was in the final year of a $750,000 contract with San Antonio. And finally tonight, speaking of basketball, the Alabama State Hornets basketball squad is winding up its second week of practice. Coach James Oliver's squad will open up their season the middle of next month, the 16th of September to be exact. Coach Oliver will certainly have his work cut out for him this year. The Hornets are coming off of a 14-17 finish a year ago. Not only that, but only one starter. Sophomore guard Frank Silman returns this time around.
Well, it's the first year I've ever not cracked it. First year I've ever lost more than 8 ball games in my whole coaching career in a season, but it was a lot of firsts. I lost to a lot of teams that had never lost to before, and, it is a regrouping situation for us, and I think at least we're on the right track by getting some good recruits in and working them to the point where, we feel like we're going to be comfortable with the people that we got.
High school football tonight, it is Lanier and Carver at Crampton Bowl, 7:30 kickoff. Highlights tonight at 10. That was a game that was postponed earlier because of a lady named Elena.
Yes,
we all remember.
A hurricane. Let's get that straight. Thanks a lot. Next Wednesday, 6,000 Montgomery school children will bring home fluorescent Halloween bags, courtesy of the Montgomery Committee for Cerebral Palsy. It's all part of a pilot program designed to help raise money to buy equipment for children with CP.
There will be a letter attached and a stamped self-addressed envelope. So if the parent wants to make a donation of $2 or more to Cerebral Palsy, they can send the envelope in with their donation.
Sullivan says if the program goes well this year, the committee plans to hand out bags to 25,000 Montgomery County elementary school children next year. The weather's next. Stay with us.
Take a pregame look at the matchup between Auburn and Mississippi State. Auburn Tiger football Thursday at 11:30 on TV 12.
Tired of paying big money for fried chicken?
Tired? I'm broke.
Then it's time for you to kick the bucket and come to Church's. Tired of smaller pieces?
No, Chicken Little. Nah, it's just little chicken.
Then kick the bucket and come to Church's. We're cooking up bigger, tasty, juicy chicken at a better Church's price. So treat yourself to everything fried chicken should be. Kick the bucket and come to Church's.
Luke, what you doing? You got an old-fashioned heavy waterbed? You could have been a winner with Skinner. Skinner's leading a revolution in sleeping comfort. They're the only ones with a new all-polyfoam mattress enveloped you like a waterbed. And Skinner's introduced the new Poly Puffback Support Mattress. Changed my relaxation situation. Luke, you did put extra support under his floor, didn't you?
Goblins, werewolves, vampires. They're not real. But he is a real nightmare. Jamie Lee Curtis, Donald Pleasance, the broadcast debut of Halloween 2. The night he came home.
He's back, and he's mad. Sunday night at 10:30 on The Late Show.
Well, this weather pattern just hangs in there.
That's right. It was another warm day.
It really has.
A lot like the last four, wasn't it?
That's right. You got it.
Here's the satellite view confirming that fact. We had showers today in some parts of North Alabama. There was sunshine in South Alabama today, and also the central part of the state saw a little sun during the day. It was just like summertime. Humidity way up there as well. You can almost see the frontal system approaching the state at this time. Here it is, this line of clouds that will be entering Alabama later on tonight. Some drier air back behind this, so for central and south Alabama, we're expecting better weather over the weekend, but there could be a few showers with the frontal system later on this evening, and less of a chance of showers tomorrow as the front starts to lose its moisture as it heads towards the Gulf Coast. Out here we see a lot of clouds in the Gulf of Mexico, an active situation. Look at all the colors, very heavy showers and thunderstorms. That concerns me a bit because I'm wondering during the weekend if any of this will start to return into our area. It's not supposed to, and the National Weather Service has us a very nice weekend forecast. Take a look at the map as of tomorrow. The front stalls in South Alabama. Just a few showers along the front tomorrow. And then on Saturday, the front doesn't change much. It just hangs around the Gulf Coast. Again, that makes me nervous because we've seen situations before when a front is this close to us, some of the moisture starts coming back. The National Weather Service now is betting that it won't, and let's hope that is the case. If you're going to be on the road this weekend, maybe traveling, let's take a look at the fall foliage forecast. It's a good weekend to check out the changing colors in northeast Alabama, northwest Georgia, the eastern portion of Tennessee, and western Carolinas, where near peak color will be observed this weekend and again next weekend. And the weather's looking good if you're heading that way, mostly sunny weather. Good time for you amateur photographers to get out and take some pictures of the changing colors. Well, look now at color radar 2.5 hours ago. At that time, we were seeing a line of showers that was forming over North Alabama and heading this way. But as we take you to the current radar picture, you can see that line of showers just fell apart. But there are some showers tonight in a band from Birmingham to southwest of Selma. You can see them there. You can also see large patches of rain in southwest Alabama as well. But what we're not seeing tonight are the heavy storms that we saw at the dinner hour last night. Temperatures around the state, by the way, all the rain is moving very slowly to the east. Temperatures now ranging from 70 degrees in Auburn to the warm spot 80 at Maxwell Air Force Base in Montgomery. It's 76 officially out at Montgomery Stanley Field. Skies are mostly cloudy. This morning's low temperature 68. Today's high, another summer-like 83 degrees. Winds out of the east at 5 now. The dew point temperature 67. The humidity 74%. The barometer steady. We've had more than a half an inch of rain the past 24 hours in that heavy thunderstorm here in Montgomery. Last night around 8 or 9 o'clock, some areas didn't get any rain from that shower at all. Lake Martin and Lake Jordan's level there. Sunrise tomorrow 6:57 and setting tomorrow evening at 6:02. Tonight, 30% chance of thunderstorms, low of 67. For tomorrow, partly cloudy, 20% chance of a thunderstorm with the front moving through, high of 83. And then for Friday night and Saturday, keep your fingers crossed. It sounds good, mostly fair. Low tomorrow night 62. The high on Saturday should be around 83. And more later, Bob.
Is it ever going to get cool?
It looks like next week around this time it's going to be turning cool.
Good.
That's way out there, though.
Not going to have any frost on the pumpkins, though.
I don't think so.
Don't think so. Thanks a lot. At today's United Way report meeting, Vice Chairman Tom Somerville had a little trouble raising the tote board. But he didn't seem to mind when he finally got it to work. The total registered 75.6%. That's more than $2.4 million. United Way campaign workers gave their biweekly reports, which indicate they're just about on target in collecting funds for the 33 agencies served by United Way in the Tri-County area. Representatives say if they average collecting 7% of their goal a week for the next month, they will reach their goal of $3,200,000 by Thanksgiving. One of the groups has already passed its goal, by the way. Michael and Patrick Mosley's Group 8 volunteers hit 101% today. They're followed by Mrs. Emery Falmer's Group 6 residential at 94% and Billy Stinson's Group 4 professionals at 93%. We'll be back. Chris Grimshaw and I will talk about the governor and Alabama in the Orient in a moment. Stay with us.
Got a bad cold? Sneezing, sniffling, achy all over? A lot. You need Children's Co-Tylenol.
Just the way Children's Tylenol brings fever down, Children's Co-Tylenol relieves all the big symptoms of your little one's cold.
I feel better.
We got a sample for a new shampoo that we thought would be gentle, like Johnson's. But when it got in Jake's eyes, he really cried.
Many shampoos that claim to be mild can sting, irritate eyes. Only Johnson says no more tears.
Johnson's must really care about kids.
Glad cling wrap. When we say cling, we mean it.
The curtain's up on the exciting 1986s from Youngblood Perry Lincoln Mercury Mercure. Get the economy and excitement of the all-new Lynx with 8.8% APR financing. Or choose from a large in-stock selection of the popular Topaz and get 8.8% APR financing. The sporty Mercure, imported from Germany exclusively for Lincoln Mercury, is now available for a low 8.75% APR financing. Even our low-mileage used cars qualify for affordable financing at Youngblood Perry Lincoln Mercury Mercure, where the people make the difference.
If you're age 60 or over, you need to know about Silver Service from South Trust Bank. Silver Service is a total banking package designed just for you. The package includes everything you need and it doesn't cost a dime. From free checking with no minimum balance to travel discounts to special insurance benefits. It's a sterling offer. Why pay for banking services when they're free at South Trust? Visit them today and open your Silver Service account. It's just one more way South Trust is working harder for you.
Governor George Wallace returned at the beginning of this week from a 2-week industry hunting trip to the Far East. He spent time in China, where he signed a friendship agreement with the Hubei province, as we once called it. I think it's pronounced Hubei now. Is that right, Chris? He attended the 10th annual Southeastern United States-Japan Association meeting in Tokyo and courted businessmen in Korea. Reporter Chris Grimshaw and photographer Bill Sham followed the governor and his entourage of nearly 70 Alabama state officials and businessmen. And Chris, is this the governor's first attempt at bringing industry in the Orient to the United States?
About 2 years ago, the governor traveled to the Orient to seek industry, and then last year he also traveled to Europe. So this is about an annual affair for the past 3 years for the governor.
Well, now he visited 3 countries, as I understand it. Were his goals the same in each of these 3 countries?
The goals for each of the countries is pretty much the same. They're very interested in getting industry either to or from those particular countries. He visited China, Japan, and Korea, each a different country with a different type of industrial atmosphere. But the goal is obvious. Alabama is concentrating very hard on what it considers its new industrial frontier, the Orient.
China is a land of people. It's the most populated country in the world, and it struggled with the 20th century. China's different factions have suffered 100 years of internal and external wars. Not until Mao Zedong and his communist political machine melted China into a single people was there any sense of national unity. Today's China, under strongman Deng Xiaoping, remembers the positive results. Severe poverty, starvation in the streets, and civil unrest are gone.
There are places in China where the average annual income is less than $300 a year, but they consider that a lot better than the 1940s when they described life as miserable. But what China would like to do now is to raise the standard of living. They'd like to have the average annual income of some Chinese up to $700 a year.
While Mao did much to organize China, he did as much to hold it back. His Cultural Revolution and closed-door policy shackled progress. China stood still while the rest of the world industrialized. China had built a political wall around itself, almost as strong as the wall that separated Chinese dynasties from each other nearly 60 generations ago.
It's the Great Wall of China, more than 2,000 years old. It took 200 years and millions of lives to complete. It's a testimony of how China's ingenuity led the world for thousands of years. But now, China lags behind the rest of the world, and they're coming out. They're courting other countries, including the United States, looking for help to catch up.
As you know, we have adopted the open door policy. So we must learn the advanced technology and the means of administration or management of other countries, no matter which country. In the last 36 years, the development is very fast, but now we say that technology and equipment lag behind. So in order to realize the full modernization, we must catch up with the standard of the 70s and the 80s standard of the developed countries. So we must strive hard, we must work hard.
The wheels of change show how China is working hard to preserve part of its socialist society while reforming its economic foundation. In Beijing, the government is building hundreds of housing projects, future homes for Chinese who now benefit from the first signs of a political shift from complete socialism. No longer is government the center of all business transactions. Small as it may seem, Chinese can now sell their own goods and keep the profits. Government officials appear as proud as the small businessmen over the increase in productivity. Modernizing its industrial base is phase 2, China's largest task.
Warm welcome to you. Mr. Dong. Yes, sir.
With regularity, Chinese officials are now greeting foreign officials, courting them for the two things they most need, new technologies and the capital investment to make it work. Much of China's industry needs to be retooled, updated. China is already making progress in that area, here proudly showing Governor Wallace one of the country's largest steel factories employing 120,000 men and women. Robert Blackman of Montgomery has been doing business in China for 5 years.
Initially, the thrust, I believe, in China was to obtain as quickly as possible specific items that were needed, machinery and other technology that was required to get their wheels of change moving. In recent years and currently, there's a greater emphasis on investment and transfer of technology in the form of joint ventures or co-cooperation, and not as much emphasis on the actual purchase of commodities or products or machinery.
The Parker Hubei Steel Factory is an example of what China is after, the technology of an American firm, its equipment, and a 50-50 split on investment. Now the plant spits out high-quality rubber seals and gaskets.
You know, in China, lots of the sales plant is operating, but the quality is very serious problem. So the Park Hanover gives us the technology for sealing making. So we raise the quality of the seals very quickly.
But joint ventures only develop after an agreement to do business has been signed. It's the so-called friendship agreement, here between Alabama and the Hubei province in China.
And that's up to the folks in Alabama in business and industry to pursue the interests they could find in building, like some of we have 3 or 4 big building companies in Alabama. I can think of 3 now that do work all over the world. And since this this path has been laid down for them by the people of Alabama.
It could take years before businesses reap the benefits of the seeds Wallace is sowing. China moves slowly. It doesn't want to make any mistakes. China is entering a new era. While it says it wants to maintain its close, friendly relationships with other third world nations, it's implementing what it calls an independent foreign policy. That means China won't shun any country that can offer economic or technical assistance, but it says it won't accept it at the expense of its own national dignity. China also understands that it can grow too quickly. That's why they put reins on their industrial growth, trying to keep the growth parallel to its ability to transport goods and services and raw materials. China is also trying to keep a very close watch on its balance of trade with other countries.
I think China is one of the few countries that seems to be doing their development in a planned and intelligent manner. As known, so many countries around the world have been working at this much longer than China and are not having the successes that China has had in just a period of 5 or 6 years.
Burger King celebrates the morning.
Morning.
With freshly baked biscuits, Southern style.
Morning. Morning.
With eggs.
Morning.
And bacon.
Good morning.
With sausage, country ham, or breakfast steak.
Morning.
With light, flaky croissantwiches, too.
Hi, good morning.
With biscuits, the croissantwich, and more. That's breakfast.
Good morning.
With Burger King.
What do you think, Carrie?
It isn't the price.
It's what you go through to get a loan, right?
There's got to be a better way.
TransSouth has something called Transline. You apply for it once and that's it. If you ever need money, you just give them a call.
Transline. One more reason why more TransSouth customers than ever before are recommending us to a friend. At TransSouth, we're proud to lend to you.
Jobs. They're Alabama's future. But unfair trade practices and cheap foreign labor are taking thousands of jobs away from Alabama and America. Hi, I'm June Collier, President of National Industries in Montgomery. I believe that Alabama should grow and prosper, just like you do. So join me. Call 1-800-331-2000, because we're all in this together, and working together we can make a better Alabama for us and our children.
You know, in a Piggly Wiggly meat case, it's hard to decide just which cut of personally selected USDA choice beef to buy. But whatever the choice, Piggly Wiggly stands behind every cut of beef we sell.
Look at this super down price on personally selected USDA choice beef, boneless top sirloin steak in the family pack, only $1.89 a pound. Through Tuesday only, get 2 cans of Starkist tuna for $1, and the jumbo rolls of Marcal towels are 2 for 79 cents.
Price is good through Tuesday at Piggly Wiggly.
The Yangtze River, one of the world's largest, divides China. Only 27 years ago were the two sides of this country linked by the first bridge across the mighty Yangtze. Not only is it vital to the country's ability to move goods, it's a source of national pride. A lower level serves trains. The upper level serves thousands of trucks and cars daily. It's another example of how China is just now emerging from its seemingly primitive standards. A country largely dependent on its agriculture. Even now, it struggles daily to feed its 1.1 billion citizens. The steps Alabama and other countries are taking with China are true ventures into a wilderness frontier of industrial growth. The Yellow Sea and its bounty separate China from Alabama's other industrial frontier, the island of Japan. Japan depends heavily on the ocean. It provides a livelihood for a large segment of its population. There is precious little space on this island for farming the land at the base of Mount Fuji, and industries are slowly encroaching on those fields of grain and vegetable. Japan is a highly industrialized nation, modern in every respect. And Tokyo has become one of the world's leading economic and business centers.
This interdependence embodies the spirit of we need you as much as you need us, which has been the basic motto of our associations.
Southeast U.S.-Japanese Association Chairman Hasegawa is in an enviable position. Japanese policies control the number of American businesses settling in Japan, but Japanese firms settle easily and quickly in the United States. 30% of their total investments are in the southeastern states. Even though that creates some strained feelings, the American states compete for Japanese plants.
I don't say that I cannot tell you what would make them choose Alabama over the states, except that maybe the particular location they want, the type of land, the type of incentive that they want, the fact that they might not want to be next to another type of industry at sorts, you know.
Wallace hopes the newly completed Tennessee-Tombigbee Waterway will give the state an edge in this fierce competition.
I've been looking forward to seeing you. Yeah.
Aside from the individual recognition drawn by a veteran like Wallace, Alabama is just another fish in a sea of industry-hungry states.
There's not enough industry movement in the domestic states anymore for all of us to enjoy as we used to back in the 70s when industry, particularly out of the northern states, was moving to the southeast, the Sun Belt, and we kind of had a lock on it. Now the northern states, the Ohios and the Michigans, the Illinois, are doing things that we've been doing through the years, but they're doing it to retain their industry as well as to get new industry. Consequently, competition is more fierce and there's not as much movement of industry. As a result of that, we decided at the state level that we were going to have to go beyond the shores of the United States if we were going to be successful with recruiting jobs for industry of our people.
Korea is another frontier. It represents the halfway point between China's embryonic stage and Japan's industrial adulthood.
About 25 miles north of Seoul, just on the other side of those mountains on the horizon, is one of Korea's leading economic incentives. It's the 38th parallel, the dividing line between North and South Korea. There's an ever-present communist buildup along that demilitarized zone, and that has brought thousands of U.S. servicemen, their families, and their spendable income into this country. But the American influence in Korea goes far beyond the military. Both countries realize that a flourishing Korean economy will mean that this country can do more on its own to defend itself. For that reason, joint Korean-American business ventures are pulling this country into the forefront of worldwide competition.
It was only 3 years ago that the first Korean firm ventured out of its home country, the Gold Star Group. It's a conglomerate making everything from TV sets, videotape recorders, home appliances, to chemical products and petroleum processing plants. Other Korean conglomerates watch Gold Star's Huntsville, Alabama TV manufacturing plant as a measure of foreign possibilities. The Gold Star plant is now in its third expansion, and other Korean firms are now following the lead and moving to the U.S.
We found the relationship, human relationship, in the Huntsville people is same as in the Korean, especially in the way of thinking.
The fact that Gold Star is the only successful multinational from Korea that has done well in the States is really a tribute to the people of Alabama.
That could be one area we can consider.
Alabama's lead in Korea and its success with Gold Star is drawing other states to this developing nation. So many, in fact, that Korea is also organizing associations with U.S. states, all in an effort to coordinate the flow of governors and businessmen to this developing country.
I think it's of necessity that we do these things. If they're going to build plants in the United States, they are going to have joint ventures in the United States. And if we're to get our share of them in Alabama, we've got to come and be visible and to enjoy friendships with them. And it's going to cost money to do it.
Everywhere you look in Alabama, there are signs of growth in medical research, in space exploration, in engineering and commerce, and in the financial world, a bank writing a growth story of its own, adding new services, new markets, extending into every area of the state. So it's no coincidence Wherever there's growth in Alabama, you'll find AmSouth Bank nearby. AmSouth, where Alabama's growing.
What happens to alcoholics when they get treatment? Well, feelings return, good feelings. Then the recovering alcoholic starts laughing and loving and living again. Hope and love replace anger and fear. Families grow together, children learn to trust again, and life sure gets better. It happens with professional help.
We can help even those who don't want help. Call the Humana Hospital Family Recovery Program, 277-LIVE.
Don't wait for cold weather. Get ready for winter now while everything's pre-season sale priced at the fireplace. Your existing fireplace becomes an energy-efficient furnace when you kindle a Country Flame insert. Conventional fireplaces draw your heated air out the chimney. The Country Flame insert takes your room air, draws it through the fireplace, and recirculates it. Right now, you'll save up to $300 on Country Flame, starting at $5.99, and it'll pay for itself in no time. Hurry in while everything's on sale to the fireplace.
Service, naturally. Selection, of course. At Piggly Wiggly, choose from hundreds of national brands, a wide selection of farm fresh produce, and the finest personally selected meats.
Here's a super down price on Hormel Black Label sliced bacon. The 16-ounce package is $1.49. Choose from these delicious varieties of Del Monte canned vegetables. Get 2 for only $79. And the 2-liter bottle of Shasta is just 69 cents.
Price is good through Tuesday at your participating Piggly Wiggly stores.
Alabama's trek to foreign lands is intended to benefit both sides. Perhaps Montgomery's Ted Giles can sell his deep fat fryers to Chinese restaurants, increasing his production here at home. China may buy more Boeing aircrafts, benefiting its Alabama plant. And perhaps China can get American investments that put its almost staggering population to work for better wages. But looking for business opportunities outside the U.S. doesn't go without criticism.
I don't like anyone, any governor of any state, going out and peddling Alabama or America door to door, and that's what we're doing. You know, people say they're investing in Alabama. Well, only they're not investing, they're buying us. And when you buy something, you control it. And I don't want foreign entities controlling this country.
We're not doing anything that is for the purpose of losing Alabama jobs. In fact, what's happened is this. If you watched on television over there the other night, you would see Tide, you saw Ivory Soap, you saw Crest, you saw everything advertised just like it's advertised in the country. You saw Pepsi-Cola, Coca-Cola advertised on Chinese television. So you see, we've had multinationals and businesses over these parts of the world for years and years and years. It's just now since World War II that other countries now have multinationals who are in our country. So if they're coming, just well come to Alabama as any other state.
Anyone that says industry coming into this country from Taiwan or whatever creates jobs, that is not correct. Consumers create jobs, not manufacturers, consumers. And the consumers are American, and the ownership and the manufacturing should be American.
But you cannot ignore 1,100,000,000 people on this earth. We have 1/4 of the population of this earth. You must pay attention to them, because they're going to be in 50 years from now, 25 years from now, during your lifetime, not mine. They're going to be probably one of the strongest industrial powers in the whole world.
But the trips Wallace has made represent more. They expose societies to each other.
They foster cultural exchanges. They open the door for educational and societal exchanges. And they can't help but foster a greater sense of humanity, togetherness.
Fascinating insight. But quickly, how do you measure the success of such a venture as was just involved there?
Without the countries themselves or the companies from those countries saying we came as a direct result of a visit, it's very, very difficult to determine whether the plant that came to the United States is as a direct result of that visit. But Alabama claims that there were 8 Japanese firms that came to the United States last year, and the Development Office would like to say that they might not have located here had they not come and visit, and they might not have visited had Governor Wallace not gone to Japan or to Korea or any other countries and extended that personal invitation.
Thanks a lot. Chris Grimshaw and Bill Schaub. Fascinating look at the Orient. We'll be back in a moment.
Another flower catalog, another gardening magazine, and another car insurance premium.
It's time we called Farm Bureau Insurance to compare rates.
Call Farm Bureau. We've got a car and a truck. No tickets.
Call and compare.
I'm sure glad I called. We just saved $61.
With Farm Bureau Insurance. $61? That means more flowers. You know you've got the best.
Hi, I'm at Harco Drug to find out how people really feel about their prescription prices.
Lower prices.
Do they give you a good price?
Good prices, as well as I think I could get anywhere.
You save a lot of money?
I sure do.
Just like I say, I save a lot. I save a lot. See, I ain't got much in this billfold, and I have to look around for the deals.
And there you have it. At Harco, we really care about you.
Spectacular savings are going on now during Gaffer's Sales Spectacular. Shop Gaffer's Junior World for only $17.99. Get crazy cords, cotton sweaters, or a fisherman's sweater vest. Select big shirts or basic palmettos, all in great fashion colors. Your choice of fantastic junior fashion. Regular $19.99 to $22, now just $17.99 each. Don't miss the savings. They're spectacular during Gaffer's Sales Spectacular.
Here at Jack Ingram, we know the best way for you to experience the Audi 5000 is to test drive it. Fuel injection, rack and pinion steering, performance few other cars can match. German engineering and luxurious interiors. There's an Audi 5000 ready for you at Jack Ingram, and a low lease payment to put you on the road and running. Audi 5000 from Jack Ingram Motors, the choice of luxury, the luxury of choice.
Well, that is it for an expanded 6 o'clock report for this evening. Entertainment Tonight will return tomorrow night in its regular time period. We would remind you that Lynn Sampson and the 10 o'clock team will be in tonight at that time. Hope you'll make your plans to join them then. We join NBC coming up next. Have a nice night.
It's Capital Chevrolet's Grand Show and Sale.
Chevrolet from 1986 has arrived at Capital Chevrolet with 8.8% financing on S10 pickups, Blazers, and manual drive Chevettes, Cavaliers, and Camaros. See the all-new Sprint that